Congressional oversight is a constitutional authority used to maintain the well-being of our system of government. This is a lesson that I learned from my fellow Congress.
Timer's not moving.
Sorry, we've got to make sure we get the timer going. There we go. Well, this lesson of oversight was something that I learned from someone who was considered the lion of the House, John Dingell. He was still in Congress when I first came here, and he taught me a couple of things. One, he called it the tyranny of the vote. It didn't matter who you were with, what you were doing, what was happening, or where you were. When they rang the bells, we had that time to go to the House floor to vote. The other was our constitutional standing, our obligation, frankly, of oversight of administration. And he was an expert at that. Didn't matter what the party label was. He always fought for the standing of Congress. Well, the GAO office is, the Government Accountability Office, is an investigative arm of Congress. They provide fact-based, nonpartisan information that can be used to improve government and save taxpayers billions of dollars. Committee Republicans and Democrats should support robust oversight of our financial regulators, aiming to seek transparency and demanding that accountability. Unfortunately, as you will hear in today's testimony, regulators in Washington are attempting to paint a bit of a different picture, but the facts are clear. The collapse of SVB and Signature Bank were the result of risky business strategies, no doubt, and years of failed supervisory action. In fact, some of the concerns identified in GAO's April report are now not new. In 2013, a report titled Financial Institutions, Causes and Consequences of Recent Bank Failures, the GAO highlighted that aggressive growth strategies using non-traditional, riskier funding, similar to those of SVB and Signature, were key factors in bank failures. These uninsured, unstable deposits accounted for much of SVB and Signature Bank total assets, which the FDIC noted in 2019, quote, could pose risks to regional banks, close quote. SVB was also affected by rising interest rates, which was fueled by reckless spending in the Federal Reserve that was too late to react. In 2015, GAO report on bank failures concluded that the regulatory process was not always effective or timely in correcting the underlying problems before these banks failed. In the years prior to their collapse, the Federal Reserve and the FDIC identified management risks at both banks, yet allowed those risks to go unfixed. The failure of federal regulators to mitigate or escalate management concerns proved costly. While the GAO's report that examines Treasury's use of the systemic risk exception, the SRE, and the establishment of the Bank Term Funding Program. Particularly, the use of the SRE is a powerful emergency tool, and that has not been without criticism. In part of our investigation into the government's response to these bank failures, the subcommittee hopes to better understand how the Federal Reserve and the FDIC concluded that that recommending use of the SRE was the last resort. Again, the GAO has previously reported that use of the systemic risk exception, quote, may weaken market participants' incentives to properly manage risk, close quote. While the Treasury Secretary has warned the public not to assume these actions create a guarantee of deposits, it's hard, frankly, to think otherwise. Ultimately, whatever losses to the Deposit Insurance Fund will be passed down to hardworking Americans. Frankly, any loss in confidence in our banking system is a loss in confidence of our regulators. Regulators had the tools at their disposal to prevent these bank failures from happening, and they missed it, period. And instead of concentrating on the basics, the things that they didn't get right, some of my friends on the other side of the aisle want to give our regulators even more complicated rules. As the Biden administration and the Federal Reserve attempt to shift the narrative, the GAO's report provides no evidence the failure of SVB or Signature Bank were the result of relaxed regulations. I believe it necessary to reiterate how important it is that this committee receives the information that has been requested and the information we will be requesting moving forward. The American people deserve answers. We should not allow history to be rewritten, and I welcome the FDIC and the Federal Reserve to appear at future subcommittee hearings to further answer our questions. I'm committed to making sure this subcommittee doesn't just draw conclusions, but bases its findings on evidence. That is what oversight is, and as chairman, that's my commitment to our members. So I look forward to hearing from Director Clements, and I yield back the balance of my time.